Good morning, Dr. Weidner, and happy summer to you. How is summer treating you so far?
So far, so good. We're almost 2 weeks out from the school year, so we are kind of moving in all kinds of directions here
Wait,
as we
what?
get ready.
2 weeks out? When did you let your kids out?
We got out May 16th for the students, and then May 17th was our teacher in service day. So yeah, we're a
Whoa.
good week and a half out.
You got a real jump on some of your peers around the area.
Ah, we don't take a full week for spring break, and so that kind of helps us get out a little bit earlier. And then we used our remote learning plan for the first time this year and
Mhm.
took 3 remote days and no snow days. So
Yeah.
that allowed us to keep our early schedule, which worked out really well. Everyone was happy about that on May 16th.
I'll bet they were. I'll bet they were. It's funny. I was telling Dr. Stanifer with how early Memorial Day is this year, I feel like we get a free week of summer this week. But really, you Cerro Gordo folks, you get like 2 free weeks of summer. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, we feel like we got a little bit of a head start, which is always a great thing.
That's funny. Good for you guys. That's awesome. Well, hey, let's put a bow kind of on the school year. Dr. Widener, how did the school year end? What were some of the things that took place in your district at the end of the year there?
Sure, we had a ton of stuff going on, lots of fun things for the kids. Definitely have to give a shout out to our elementary PTO. They always have something planned fun for our kids. On the last day of school, they had a foam party out on the playground. So they've had this absolute science come in and do different assemblies. And on that day, he filled the playground with foam. The kids got to take turns going out there with their classes. They were soaked. It was an absolute blast. It was also a really windy day, so foam was blowing all over Cerro Gordo. And I was just kind of laughing about the thought of farmers in their field, miles away, wondering where all this foam was coming from. But
Oh boy.
that was a really fun activity. We had field trips all over the place. Our junior high students got to take a trip to Six Flags.
Hmm.
Our seniors took a trip down to St. Louis also in April. Then our elementary kids had Scoville Zoo, Parkland, Starkle Planetarium, the Railway Museum in Monticello. We had some reward trips for kids who finished their reading rewards. They got to go see a movie in Decatur. They saw Elemental. We
Mm.
had kids go to Elevate Trampoline Park, just all kinds of fun stuff. But I think the coolest one was our fifth grade field trip. They went to the Challenger Learning Center over in
Hmm.
Normal at Heartland Community College.
Hmm.
And so our fifth grade students got to participate in a science simulation. And basically, it's like hands-on investigations where the kids are completely in charge.
Hmm.
They have to make decisions using data that they collect and complete a mission. So half the kids start out as mission control, and they have it set up. It really looks like NASA mission control with computers, and then the other half get to be astronauts, and
Hmm.
they're, in the spacecraft. And the simulation that they did was called Lunar Quest.
Hmm.
And the idea is that NASA has decided that part of the moon may be a good habitat for humans. And so they've got to send these astronauts up to space, and then they have to launch a rover and decide if it's sustainable for human life.
Hmm.
So the kids get to do both roles, and as they're, exploring the moon, they, make some scary discoveries and have to work together to avoid a catastrophe, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so they're obviously learning about science, but they're also working together, problem solving, and it's just so out of the ordinary routine that it's something that the kids are going to remember
Hmm.
and have fun with and just kind of really stick with them. So I definitely want to thank our teachers for finding that and the PTO for sponsoring that too. It was a really cool field trip.
Yeah, that's really neat. Is that something you'll do going forward in years ahead?
I think so, yeah. And I
Hmm.
believe this is the second year that they've actually done that. So
Oh,
I think
okay.
they've had a great experience. And I know there are other programs over there at the Challenger Learning Center for STEM, which
Hmm.
that's something that Cerro Gordo is really good at and, has done really well with improving the science and STEM program here.
Yeah. Anything else from the last year, Dr. Widener? Whether it was new programs, new initiatives, new curriculums, anything that got put into place this last year that you kind of do a year in review on at this point in time?
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely a time when we reflect on what we did well and we start setting goals for next year too. The elementary did implement new reading and math curriculum this year, which is either one of those things is a big undertaking. So I think they did an excellent job in both of those situations and have been happy with the curriculum materials that they chose. We have been working on attendance as well as improving our reading and math, specifically math scores. One of the things that our junior high school principal, Mr. Willard, did this year was create a standout student report.
Mhm.
And so there are basically several criteria that students have to meet in order to get on this report um, each month. And it's things like attendance, grades, behavior, service within the school. And so we found that this really meant something to the kids, and they really did want to be on that report. And if they made it, they would get some kind of prize, but they never knew what it would be. I think the first time was Cerro Gordo Bronco sunglasses. Another one was like lanyards. Each kid got a lanyard, but then there were other times where their names got put in a drawing for a gift card. So just some kind of little reward, but more importantly, recognition for doing what we want them to do. And then their parents could also be proud and, post it on Facebook and things like that.
Right.
Just another way to kind of highlight the good things that our kids are doing. And I think that was successful in a lot of ways. But attendance will still be something that we continue to target.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of schools have that issue, especially after COVID.
Mm-hmm. So attendance, did you at least see improvement there? What were some of the initiatives you took on to try to improve that? How about those things?
So the standout student report was one of those things, but also just contacting families as we noticed, issues with attendance and trying to see if there was some problem solving that we could help with and kind of get to the root of any issues with kids who were having, really problematic issues there. We also had James Calloway at the Regional Office of Education as the new truancy officer. So I guess he's not so new anymore. I think this is his second year, but we worked with him, whenever we had trouble with students who were just kind of not showing up. So that is definitely something that we'll continue to target and continue to try to work with families to get to the reason students aren't coming, whether it's, the work is too hard, they need help with it. Sometimes it's social emotional issues. They don't feel like they have friends. It can be a variety of reasons for them not attending.
Yeah, for sure. So see how that goes down the, getting, again, farther away from COVID. I wonder also, Dr. Weidner, as we get farther away from COVID, will it be one of those situations where, like students, they had the options to go to school, but fewer and fewer of those students are, kind of now in the system. So, those younger kids, they don't really, they don't, I don't know if they grasp the idea of, well, I have the option to go to school or I don't have the option to go to school. So, you're kind of aging out of that group of students that may have had that mentality. Do you feel like as that goes, those students kind of filter out, that you'll see more attendance improvements? How about that?
That's a great question. I think one of the things is that with COVID, one of the byproducts of it was that a lot of our learning and homework and assignments are online. A lot of teachers and many districts use Google Classroom. So it's easier than ever to make up work and kind of stay on track when you're not at school. And so that's something that would often motivate kids is, if I'm kind of on the fence of going to school and I know I can easily make up my work, then maybe it's not as motivating to kind of push yourself to go. We certainly don't want kids to go to school when they're sick, but we do want our kids here when, as much as possible. And that's when the best learning happens, when they're in the classroom with the teachers.
No question. Speaking of learning best in the classrooms, I know you mentioned you did implement e-learning days for the first time this year. How did that go, and what was your experience like with that?
Well, that was probably the part of the job that I was dreading most, making the decisions on snow days and things like that coming into it as a new superintendent. But our teachers did a fantastic job of setting up the remote learning plan. And then whenever it was time to implement it, I think it was very smooth. It was a little tricky to have, I think we had back-to-back remote learning days. So we were pretty good at planning for one, but having two in a row was a little bit trickier. But our teachers, are very used to kind of problem solving on the fly. That's pretty much what they have to do every day in the classroom. So I think they did great with that. And I really think that people who were skeptical about it saw that it worked out pretty well. And we did do a survey afterwards to figure out where we need to improve to in terms of communication and making sure the students and the parents know what is expected on those days.
Hmm.
So hopefully it'll be even smoother going forward.
Have you heard back on that survey to this point?
Yeah, several months ago is when we did that right afterwards.
Oh, okay.
So
What'd you hear?
basically, a lot of what we heard from the teachers was just that we all need to make sure we're on the same page in terms of our expectations. It's a little bit of a judgment call on how much work you're going to have students do. You don't want to give them work that is too much for them to try to do on their own. A lot of their parents are still at work during the day, so just kind of making sure we have consistent expectations for how much to do on those days.
Hmm. Very good. Well, Dr. Weidner, anything else on kind of a year in review for 23-24? Anything we didn't touch on you want to put out there for us?
Sure. I wanted to highlight a story actually from our honors night. We had on May 7th, we had honors night for our seniors, and we had staff and alumni and community members come out and give scholarships to our students. And they were all wonderful presentations and inspiring. And one that really stood out to me was an alumni who came from Colorado. Her name's Marilyn Heckman, and she and her husband Galen were graduates of Cerro Gordo, and then they got married and were married for 62 years before he passed away last year. She decided to do a scholarship in his honor, and she came all the way back from Colorado to present it. And in her presentation, she mentioned that Galen's father was the president of the school board when the cornerstone was laid in 1929 for the current high school building.
Oh, wow.
I actually have a picture of the cornerstone being set and the program from that framed in my office with his name on it. So that was really cool. She had intended to give out one scholarship, but she liked the applications that she got so much that she gave out two that night, one for $10,000 and one for $5,000.
Wow.
So it was a really awesome night for our seniors. We gave out more than $40,000 in scholarship money, and we only have 21 graduating seniors. So that's pretty amazing for those kids.
That's really
So
cool. Yeah, that's nice. What a great story. Will that be something they do going forward, or was that just kind of this year and that was really it?
No, that'll be something going forward too.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What an opportunity for the kids in Cerro Gordo. Great stuff. Well, Dr. Weidner, let's take a break here. And best way for folks to follow along with your district, the happenings, maybe there's stuff going on this summer folks want to know about. Where do they go for all that information?
Absolutely. First place would be the website at www.cgbroncos.org. And then you can also follow us on Facebook at Cerro Gordo School District 100.
That is Dr. Emily Weidner, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, our guest here on the Zoom call on the morning show. We'll talk more with her coming up on WHOW.
WHOW. I never thought about being a salesperson ever until I realized we are all in sales. I'm Pat Bryson, and I've spent my entire adult life creating campaigns for businesses using the powerful medium of radio. The Miller Media Group has immediate openings in our sales department, and we might be looking for you. The person who will excel in sales is self-managed and self-motivated to achieve higher goals. They win if they help other people to win. They enjoy helping local businesses succeed. This is a full-time job. If you are good enough to join our team, we will train you and support you. I train salespeople all over the world, and I'm ready to help you become a top multimedia specialist with the Miller Media Group. Previous sales experience is a plus, but not a requirement. But a long-term career is. Are you looking for us? Send your resume to sales@randyradio.com.
Hey, this is Todd Gleason from Illinois Extension here with a time change for our daily market report on WHOW. You can now catch our daily review of the commodity markets at 5:06 on all of WHOW's many platforms. You'll still hear all of our commodity analysts and weather professionals each afternoon, but at a brand new time. And you'll still hear the weekly wrap-up of the commodity markets right here on WHOW when Commodity Week airs Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Remember the time change for the daily closing market report on WHOW at our new time, 5:06 p.m. weekdays.
Allergy season is here, and our Warner Hospital and Health Services walk-in clinic inside our family medicine is here to help. No appointment, no problem. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Ramey Miller from Run Deep Coaching. Take your power back. I do holistic personal and business coaching. My service is virtual, so we can visit no matter where you are. Find out more by clicking my icon at doitdailynews.com. That's doitdailynews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Dr. Emily Weidner, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, our guest on the phone here for this morning. Dr. Weidner, as we transition to summer, what's coming up this summer in your buildings? What do you got going on?
We have all kinds of stuff going on this summer, Seth. We had our big HVAC project that was happening last summer, which kind of ripped apart a lot of our junior high school and was a lot of work for our maintenance and custodial staff. So this summer is kind of nice reprieve from that. We don't have any major construction projects going on, but we have a long list of small things. We've got some elementary slides that we're replacing. We're putting in a chairlift at the elementary school, so that building will be fully accessible, which is a wonderful thing. Installing a washer and dryer in the elementary school, doing lots of small projects like updating door closers and things that were found in our health life safety survey. We also have the typical cleaning and gutter, cleaning, things like that, and then updating our technology, making sure that everything is working and anything that's not is replaced. We're very fortunate that we are 1-to-1 for computers, and all our classrooms have smart boards or smart TVs. So we don't have a lot of major purchases right now. We're just making sure that everything stays updated and maintained.
Sure. When it comes to, of course, budgeting for these things, is this something you have to save for over time? Is there funds available to you to make these things happen? How about that, Dr. Weidner?
Sure. So with the HVAC project, that was largely funded by ESSER money, which is COVID relief money that runs out. We're spending the last of ours this June. Most school districts are pretty sad that federal money is going to be gone. But we also have the 1% or 1 cent sales tax that we can use for facility improvements. And we got a school maintenance project grant from ISB, Illinois State Board of Education, for $50,000. And that will help us pay for our roof project on our junior high addition that will start early this fall. We just actually approved the bid for that at our May board meeting. So that'll be kind of the biggest project we've got coming up now, but it'll only be really a 2-week project, weather permitting.
You mentioned you've got a roofing project starting in the fall. I wouldn't think that would interfere too much with the school day, would it?
No, it should be not disruptive to the school, because that junior high addition has offices and we'll have one classroom in it during that time. And it's a pretty quick project if the weather cooperates with us. So it shouldn't interfere with school or any school activities.
I see. Very good. We'll look forward to all of those things. Anything else coming up this summer, Dr. Weidner, worth talking about this morning?
Yeah, our students are very busy. We've got basketball camps already starting up. We've got open gyms for our sports. Our kids are weight training, and we actually have 6 high school students who are on our summer work crew, out mowing the football fields and things like that. So our kids are definitely staying busy with their activities, and we are in the mode of prepping with writing grants, updating handbooks, ordering supplies and curriculum, and all the things that we've got to get done in the summer to kind of wrap up this last school year and make sure that we're ready for the next one.
This is your first year, right, Dr. Weidner? Or you just wrapped up your first year?
That's correct.
Yeah. So what'd you think? How'd it go?
I loved it. I have had a lot to learn, and it's interesting to go from feeling like an expert at your job to kind of being a novice, but it's also been really kind of energizing at this point in my career. This is my 24th year in education, so it's been a welcome change, and I've loved getting to know the Cerro Gordo community and their traditions. I was at the graduation this past weekend, and hearing our salutatorian and valedictorian give their speeches, talking about this class having been together, many of them K through 12, how close they were, and how emotional everybody was to be leaving and moving on. It was just, it really feels like home to me here, and it's been an absolutely great fit and a fantastic first year.
Sure, very good. Well, again, Dr. Weidner, to wrap us up, where do folks go to keep up with all things Cerro Gordo schools?
Our website is www.cgbroncos.org, and on Facebook you can find us at Cerro Gordo School District 100.
Very good. Dr. Weidner, enjoy your summer. Thanks for coming on with us this year. We'll
you,
talk
Seth.
again. Yeah, we'll talk again next year. Again, Dr. Emily Weidner, Superintendent of Cerro Gordo Schools, my guest on the phone. More to come with the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.